You can use the rectangular array command to create multiple copies of part of your drawing in a rectangular pattern. Basically, a number of columns in the x-axis and a number of rows in the y-axis. To use the function, you must first select the geometry that you want to include in the array. If you don't do this, you will see this error message. So we will select the small square that we have already drawn here. Now, when we click on the button, the ribbon displays the array options. Here you can see the default values are the number in X, or columns, and the number in Y, or rows. You can also rotate the array with the third option here, but we'll look at that in a minute. We'll now change the number in X to 4 and the number in Y to the same. Now if we look at the command prompt, it's asking for a reference point. Normally this would be a point somewhere in the geometry selected. It doesn't have to be, but it usually makes it easier to specify the distances between the rows and columns. Let's use this corner point. Now as we move the mouse, you can see the spacing between the copies change. So the distance between the reference point and the cursor position is defining the spacing between the rows and the columns. The last input mode was XY, so we will just change it to snap mode with this button here, as we're not concerned about exact spacing this time. Okay, we're happy with that spacing, so we click to accept and the array is complete. Let's do that again, but this time we'll be a little bit more precise and enter the spacing. The last array values are still current, so let's pick the same reference point and switch to XY mode with this button, or we could press F8. We'll now enter the spacing values in the XY boxes. Of course, you could use direct input if you're using either of the Plus, Pro or Architectural versions. So just type in 30 in the X and 30 in Y. Now click anywhere in the drawing area to accept these values. Let's just undo that and repeat the command again, but this time we'll add a rotation to the array. Once again, the same procedure. Select geometry, click the array button and select the reference point. Now we didn't enter a rotation value, but that's no problem, as we can modify any of these three values during the process. We want 30 degrees, and now you can see the updated display. Finally, enter the spacing and click to accept.